Latha Mabrin gets zapped during meditation. Fala gets killed by a remote detonator during transport. And Kira says the makra herbs taste like something that crawled out of Quark's ear. But she doesn't say how she knows that. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. We are joined by a very special guest, Malissa Longo, because it's a Nog episode.
Hello.
We're doing a review of Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 11, The Darkness and the Light, story by, first writing credit by, I think, ever, Mr. Brian Fuller, and teleplay by Ronald D. Moore, directed by Michael Vehar. This is also the first episode of 1997, January 6th.
Wow. That's Aaron's birthday.
I know. Happy birthday,
Really?
Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Mm-hmm. This episode aired on that wonderful man's birthday. How you guys doing?
Okay.
Doing good. Yeah. Doing good.
Awesome. So, yes, go ahead, Cirroc.
The whole time I was watching this episode, I was thinking to myself about like how close Nana is to labor. I'm like, she is like about to blow at any moment. And I don't know if she's already given birth at this point and she's just wearing a one of those labor kind of outfits that you put under your clothes to make it look like you're pregnant. But
I think that's what it was.
I think so too.
If I remember correctly.
She gave birth a few episodes before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I can't remember who told us that. I think it may have been Chase. Somebody told us that on our show just recently.
Mm-hmm.
And she just came back and delivered it. What?
It was Eve.
Was it Eve?
Because it was a fact in that book that she has.
Right.
She knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. See, that's why you get the big bucks there.
Yeah.
Melissa. You keep that solid mind. The two of us are like, who was it? I don't know. It was like a week ago, but
Melissa remembers Eve. Eve remembers factoids, and we just sit here and go like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's exactly. I was gonna say that too. I think she came back. Oh, that's what it was. The episode where Odo goes back to Terok Nor, it was called Things Past. And then at the end of the episode, he comes back and just has that one scene with Kira where he's talking about, what happened and how, she's having this big dramatic scene with him. And she was only in that very last scene. And I believe that was said to be the first scene that she did upon returning. Or maybe we just guessed that. But anyway, that's what we talked about. True or not, that is what we talked about.
Yeah, I think Melissa's right. It was in the DS9 companion, and Eve is the one that pointed that out to us. Yeah. But as I was watching this episode and kind of thinking about that, saying she looks super pregnant at this, in this episode, I was thinking, how cool would it have been for this main character at the, who towards the end has this whole scene with her, but basically to have removed the baby at that point, so they could have essentially, gone back to normal in the course of this episode for her, so she can go back to wearing her regular stuff. So I was thinking, are they going to do that and try to pull that off as the excuse for why, the baby's out now? But they didn't. So that was kind of one twist that I was expecting, but it didn't come.
Yeah. Also, I'm thinking she kind of did, I wouldn't call it a stunt, but she did have a little bit of activity towards the end there, when she's running, when she does the double kick and this and that, I'm not sure they'd have somebody like 8.5 months pregnant doing that. I mean, I didn't look closely. Maybe it was a stunt double, but
and they certainly wouldn't have her fall on her belly.
Fall on her belly. Yeah, that was the one scene. I was like, what's going on here? Is she on her stomach? Like, I don't forget what scene that was in, but she was face down on the floor, and I'm thinking,
right,
no, this is, you got to fall on your back, sweetheart.
good thinking. Yeah, you're right. So
yeah.
Malissa, you've gone on record multiple times saying that Major Kira Nerys is your favorite character on this series. How did you feel about this Kira-centric episode?
It's probably my least favorite Kira episode.
Wow.
Because I have some major issues about what was written for her in this episode.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't think that she would have made some of the choices that she made, knowing that she's as pregnant as she is, carrying somebody else's baby, and just go off half-cocked on a essentially premeditated mission to go murder somebody. So one, she's essentially kidnapping the O'Brien's baby. Two, she's putting said baby in danger. And I think that Kira is more of a person who thinks of others before she thinks of herself. And the baby would definitely be a priority in that. So I don't agree with her charging off in search of, I just don't think she would do it, especially with how much she's put her body through already, carrying this child for as long as she has.
I like that you said half-cocked, though, because I put in my notes, Kira transports out half-cocked. No, it's just because I was like, oh, that's cool. We both said half-cocked, and I'm like, does anybody even use that term anymore? But thank you.
Yeah, I think I would have bought it more if the guy had actually kidnapped her, and I think that would have been doable.
Interesting.
And the final scenes would still work if he had kidnapped her instead of her stealing a runabout as well.
I 100% agree with you on this one, Malissa. This episode is only missing the scene with Keiko coming back home and slapping the shit out of Kira.
Yeah.
Bitch, don't ever take my baby anywhere without.
Give me my baby back.
Because that's what would happen. Any mother would be fully outraged once they find out about this. It's not even. I don't even care if you made it back in one piece or whatever. You're getting a full slap on the face and a cussing out. This can never happen again. And not only that, but Bashir, I want my baby right now, even though it's 3 weeks premature.
Get it out of there.
Get that out of here.
She cannot be trusted.
She's not responsible. No. She's not responsible. No, that's like taking your kid on a drive-by shooting. Like, seriously, you're babysitting for me. Stop it. Can you wait till you're done with the babysitting duty? I didn't like it either. And I felt like that could have been fixed so easily. And I'll tell you how and where in the storyline I believe that it could have been fixed. When the two people that were her co-conspirators in these resistance, when they beamed into her quarters, that would have been a perfect opportunity for them to pretend like they're on her side, pretend like they are, actually hiding from the thing that they're looking for. And they could have been co-conspirators in helping the plan go forward and kidnapping her, essentially, right? I thought that's what the tea leaves were about. So when they gave her the tea leaves and they were whispering to each other, go get the leaves or whatever, I thought that was go get the thing that we're going to neutralize her with and kidnap her with, right? The leaves could have been easily, hey, let's celebrate your arrival, guys. I haven't seen you in such a long time. Let's make a hot pot of tea. And next thing you know, she's knocked out because it was a drug or something. Perfect way to get her in that situation without it being her decision and her fault. Because she looks totally irresponsible in this moment. Absolutely. And no mother who's like that close to birth, I can understand if she like is like 2 weeks pregnant, and it's like, there's nothing. It's like no change physiologically in her body or whatever, and she doesn't feel it really. Right. But you're talking about, you're like about to blow. You're 3 weeks away from delivery. Nobody's even like extenuating that much energy, or they're not going to do heavy exercising. They're not going to do heavy lifting. Just like basic stuff that you're going to be doing when you're pregnant. Now, maybe the Bajorans have a different threshold of pain or different tolerance level or whatever, or they can get accomplished more, but still, you're that big. You have somebody else's baby. It's not even your own baby that you're putting at risk, putting another person's baby at risk. You've already committed, I don't know how many months it takes for a Bajoran to have a baby, but you've committed X amount of months into the process, and you're this close to the finish line. No way do I see her taking that course of action.
No, yeah, I didn't believe it. I was like, no.
Yeah, maybe I could even see her sending the two soldiers, rebels that were her fighters, freedom fighters alongside her, sending them after whoever it was. Like, hey, I got the inside information. This is who it is. This is where they live. Go over there, and she kind of orchestrates the hit job.
But she even talked them out of doing that. So how is she going to put the baby at risk after she's talked, Lupaza?
The whole time I was thinking about the baby. And when she was laying face down on the floor, I was thinking about the baby. When she got into a little, there was a moment there when she wanted to get to her quarters, and they were trying to resist her and like hold her back. Like, no, it's not a good time. And I'm thinking, she's a pregnant woman. Like, you can't like manhandle her like that. And she can't be fighting and all this stuff. She did like a two-handed punch and all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? So too late in the pregnancy stage, number one. I didn't like the fact that O'Brien was like not filled in on this whole deal. Oh, by the way, we got home guests. I feel like he would be totally on top of this. He would be like, who the hell are you guys? What's going on? Tell me the past. I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
You're in my home with my baby.
You're in my house.
I mean, he's been how hands-on so far up to this point, and
little too hands-on.
Yeah, but then suddenly he disappears, and then and the other thing was, she's 3 weeks away from giving birth, and Keiko decides to take a trip to visit her parents with Molly. I mean, that I'm just like, anything.
Thanks
can
for
happen.
ruining my nitpick, Malissa. That's okay. I got plenty more.
Okay.
No, but you're right.
You're right. You're right. And look, did we not just see how much O'Brien was going through it when he ruined her plants? Like, Keiko had her plants ruined with Bashir, right? And they were going back and forth, like, you take responsibility. It's your fault. It's your fault. I'm not going to say anything. That's her plants. She's really sensitive about it. That's her plants,
Right. Yeah.
So when it comes to her child, her unborn child, there's no way that O'Brien is not going to jump on top of a grenade over this thing. He has to be like super protective about this. Like, what's going on? Like, who are you guys? What's happening? Where are you going? There's no way he's not following her around, like a puppy dog, making sure that she's not stepping in anything, that she's not tripping, that she can reach everything off the shelf, that she, you're hungry, do you need something? He would be, that's how any good husband, father is going to be at that stage in the pregnancy. He's going to be constantly available for her needs.
Can you imagine?
And especially now that her life is in danger,
Right.
Can you imagine how much Keiko is going to hit the roof, hit the ceiling when she comes home and O'Brien's like, sweetie, I just want to let you know. And she's like, can I go to my quarters? Well, the quarters are destroyed. Well, what? Is Kira and the baby okay? Oh yeah, they're fine. Well, where were they when they kind of went on a mission to go fight some guy, and he whatever, and he like sedated her, but it's all good because she beat him up and wrestled and everything. She would show she's going to kill him.
Yeah. It's going to, in some way or another, that's going to all be his fault.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's going to be his fault. You know, he didn't do something right. There was something he didn't do. I can't put my finger on it, but he shouldn't have done something or should have done something. And it's going to end up falling on his shoulders. Why didn't you? Why did you let this? Why did this? Da, 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 da. And he's just going to not be able to answer those questions. And he's going to collapse under the weight of Keiko's grill. That was hard for me. You're right, Melissa.
Yeah, and at one point in one of the episodes, he's even tasting Kira's food for her. So there's no way that he wouldn't have been all over this.
So maybe he knows what tastes like crawled out of Quark's ear.
Ah, yeah.
Because...
And then it was hard for me to buy that. That's why I thought they were bad characters when they first just beamed into Kira's room. I'm like, that's the, a very specific place to show up. Now, you just showed up. And did they beam into Kira's or did they beam into O'Brien's?
Well, they scanned to see where she lived.
Okay.
And beamed in there. But we'd met Frizzell and Lupaza before, so we knew they weren't bad guys. But I was thinking the high-tech guy who's committing all these murders so stealthily could easily have kidnapped her by beaming her off the station.
Totally.
And then stunning her the same way that he did when she arrived on the planet. I mean, with the stun gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then do the sedation thing. I mean, the whole last thing could have still worked if he had kidnapped her.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because you guys both seem to be pretty solidly in the camp of Major Kira would not do that or shouldn't do that. Now, remember, she has a lot of strength and anger, at least originally in season 1. And she was vengeful. She was feisty. She was violent. She was strong. Could you see season 1 Major Kira act in this way? Do you think it's because she has evolved into a character that we don't buy it, or do you think even season 1 wouldn't do it?
Well, no, I think season 1 Kira might be capable of this, but then season 1 Kira wouldn't have been pregnant, and it would have been a whole different thing. But season 5 Kira is evolved. She has learned, she has grown, and I think she would have trusted Odo to be able to do his job better.
Mm-hmm.
I just, rather than take it upon herself too.
Yeah, I think she's gone through a level of evolution where she has trusted the DS9 crew that she works with. She's built a relationship with Dax. She has entrusted herself with Sisko. She has built this really close relationship with Odo, and they've had these kinds of conversations. So I don't see her, for example, when that first phone call came in and she said, well, I need to talk to you in private. And she said, okay, well, let me go over here and talk in private. I don't see her not debriefing her coworkers in that moment and saying, look, this is what's going on. She worked alongside of me. She did this, as opposed to waiting till a little bit later after she died to tell the story. I think that she would say this right away. Like, look, this is somebody that needs me. They did this and this and this for me when the resistance was going on. Now it's time for me to repay the favor, Captain. I know this doesn't sound right, but you got to let me give her some refuge. You got to let me hide, She did it in this kind of way where she sent Dax and Worf over there to go pick him up. But I just felt like it would be more of an inclusive thing. She seemed to be like hiding certain elements of what went down. And I never seen her really not own up to whatever it was that she's done. So I don't see why there would be a reason to hide anything, right? She's always pretty transparent about who she is and what she's about. Season 1, I would buy. I would buy season 1 Kira doing this. I don't buy her doing this right now, like on the snap, on the dot. First of all, she knows the killer is kind of looking for her. I would have suspected like he would be able to like he's doing all of this without even being physically present there, right? From what we understand. All of these things are happening without actually him being there.
Right.
He sent that shock out to kill Vedic Latha or Latha. I think it was pronounced
Lathan, Mabrin.
Yeah. And that was my little nitpick. I was like, which one is it, guys? Latha or Latha?
They do that sometimes where they're pronouncing it differently.
Yeah, and I'm like, somebody please get some consistency here because it went right from one way to the other. But usually they have that pronunciation guide in the beginning of the script, which gives you the way to pronounce it. And so I'm pretty sure they explained it and somebody just didn't pay attention or disregarded it. But yeah, that was my biggest pet peeve. The same that you have, Melissa, because as a pregnant woman, I kept saying, gosh, she looks awfully pregnant and she shouldn't be running and she shouldn't be, stressed out.
Fighting.
Yeah, I know her feet are swollen right now. I was thinking of all the things that, morning sickness and your feet being swollen. I'm like, she's not going to be running around and commandeering ships and just breaking out and just saying, screw all this. My life, I'm going to risk my life for this. I just don't see it. I don't see it like that. Maybe setting a trap for this guy, I could see. I could see her and the rest of the crew kind of saying, okay, this guy's looking for us. We're going to set a trap. We're going to use you as the bait. You don't worry and nothing will happen to you. But we're going to set this thing. We know he's going to come looking for you. Maybe that could have been a way that the story played out a little bit differently, but I just wasn't buying this. I think they pulled the trigger on this one a little bit too late for me.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Melissa.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of pulling the trigger a little late, we're going to hit our break in just a minute here. And I know, can you believe it? But on the other side, we have a lot of things to discuss. Number one, we had a rule of acquisition. We have some non-appearance mentions to discuss. And by the way, we haven't even gotten into the A plot yet. That's all the B plot. The A plot is behind Melissa.
Oh, yeah.
Is our boy Nog stealing the show. I mean, that's really what the episode was about, right? It was about Nog and his ears.
It was all a setup for him.
His lobes. But before we flip over to the other side, everybody at home, let us know in the comments below or in the live chat. Do you think Major Kira would do that? Do you think that fits her character? Or do you think that fits more her first season character or not her character at all? Or do you think you're like, yeah, whatever, she's fiery, whatever. But we're going to talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about everything, basically. On the other side, on the seventh rule. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
Did you mean to do the Vulcan thing just now?
Completely accidental.
That was pretty good. My name is Ryan T. Husk. We're doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 5, Episode 11, The Darkness and the Light. Melissa Longo joins us to class up the joint, and we are going for it. So, A plot. Nog steps in and says, oh, you guys have a problem. You guys have, you got a problem. Yo, I'll solve it. Right.
Okay. That's a good one. Not, but yeah.
What? Did you just drop a knot? You just dropped it like it's not?
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I knew this was going to go be bad. Holy So look, you're right. Nog was in this episode, and it was really good to see him in action. I wrote down here because he gives Kira this look because she double checks again, like, yo, are you sure? And he looks back at her like, if you don't ask me this question one more time, I already told your ass. And I love the way he shuts her down with that look. It's like it's a bold decision to come from a cadet to be out there looking at majors like that, right?
Well, and then her reaction after that was great too. It was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't question the Ferengi ears.
Nope.
Rule, take a note of that. Do not ever question Ferengi's ears. And I think Odo learned this lesson in the other episode where they had the bomb on board the little.
That was right. With Armin,
yeah. Odo learned the lesson that you shouldn't question Ferengi's ears either, right? Because they can hear extra good.
If there's a buzzing, that means there's a buzz.
Yeah, that's a buzz. So I think this was another great kind of homage to the Ferengi ears and the sensitivity that they have. Because he basically figured it out, or because of his kind of dissecting what was happening, Kira figured it out, right? That was her voice.
Yeah.
And which they didn't explain more. I thought they were going to say it's her voice from something she did. Maybe she did a countdown when she was blowing up a Cardassian fucking silo or something. I don't know what, but maybe something that she had as a countdown or something. They didn't say where the voice recorded was emanating from, unless I missed it.
No, but I got that. I mean, this guy is extremely knowledgeable in tech stuff and technology, and he's able to hack into Odo's files. So why wouldn't he be able to hack into Kira's logs, personal logs, and take her voice? And just, I mean, she says stardate, 27 whatever at the beginning of the logs. So you just have to take that and then duplicate it. So
yeah,
right.
And that's one of the.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying what was fun in that scene for me was, and I could be wrong, but I think that was the first time we saw Cadet Nog like actually a part of Starfleet in a way, in an official capacity on at ops, like actually there, not just saying hello to the captain, not necessarily on a runabout, not whatever, but actually in ops, being part of the station's operations. And that was kind of like it was like a momentous occasion, like after 5 seasons, he's actually there, at the headquarters of the station, and I think that was the first time, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think we've seen him doing other stuff in corridors and stuff with O'Brien, but not on the main bridge, not at ops, not. And really, he was integral in this, so they actually needed him in this moment for his skill set. So I thought that was a nice special use for him. It was always good. It was good to see him. And like I said, I like the looks that he gave. He kind of had a little bit of talk back in him. Like, I know what I'm talking about. And that's kind of the arrogance that Nog has. It's like, he doesn't like to be questioned on stuff that he knows.
Right.
That he knows. Right. So when you start questioning him on that, he gets really short tempered and irritated. Like, I told you, I know this already.
That sounds a little like the real person. He's like, I already told you.
Yeah, just a little bit, but when he knows something, he doesn't like to be really challenged or questioned too much on it. Just sit back, listen, take the information, and do what you want with it. But don't sit here and act like I don't know what I'm talking about, because I know what the hell I'm talking about. And that's pretty much Nog in this episode. He was like, don't ask me again, because I think Dax asked him in the beginning and he had to shut her down, right? And then Kira doubled down and asked again, and she's like, if you ask me again, boy, I will.
Whoa, zip. What I thought would have been a nice moment from a fan's point of view. Do you remember the first episode of the 4th season, Way of the Warrior, when Sisko says the best way to fight Klingons is with Klingons? And it shows Worf coming up to ops in the elevator. Like that was his big reveal as he arrives. Boom, it's Worf. Actually, so it goes something like this. it would have been really a cool moment if they did that for Nog. If they said, "Oh, we can't," they're trying to figure it out, and then one of them says,
"I know who to call."
Yes, and then we see Nog coming up, and and the pride that he would have coming on into ops for the first time, but being called on for a mission that he's needed for. That is a scene that would have been just amazing. He would come up with like such pride, but also like determination, like, all right, I'm ready for this. This is my moment, and it would have been such a cool scene to have. Obviously, this is in hindsight, because back then nobody could have known, how much the character evolves and how cool it would have been to see that first moment. But anyway, it would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Especially if he was toting a whole bunch of tool bags, over the shoulder bag, another toolkit. He had all the tools. He's ready to take something apart. They're like, no, we just want you to listen over here. Like, oh,
we just need your lobes.
I thought you wanted me to take a computer apart or something. He's like, oh, we just want you to listen to something. All right, okay.
Yeah, fine.
Fine. Quark was actually interesting in this episode too, because he had one little tiny scene, but it was funny because he essentially admitted to like opening her mail or like reading her messages or something. It's like,
well,
it was addressed to you, but somehow I accidentally accessed it. I don't know. I didn't know. So I just thought that was funny. I wasn't snooping. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You guys just reminded me. Boy, are we off today. Whew, boy, I forgot to say the
what is the rule of acquisition?
No,
the NAMs, the
trivioids that may or may not have made the cutting room floor. That just reminded me, because I think that was one of them. So that was like, oh wait. Okay. So let's knock these out. Here we go. Nog shows off his lobes. Kira says the Makra herbs taste like something that crawled out of Quark's ear, but she doesn't say how she knows that. Vedic Latha Mabrin gets assassinated. Worf does not smirk, but if he did, this would be a good opportunity. That was a good line. Dax didn't know that Captain Ramirez is a 3-time Tongo champion. Fala was killed by a remote detonator during transport. Quark finds a pad in a shipment of Saurian brandy. Kira is 2 weeks away from delivery. Pharrell makes this cool song. No, Pharrell and Lupiza break into Kira's quarters. Kira decides to make like a baby and head out on a runabout.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Maybe we should have just left him alone.
Yeah, we didn't catch one, but all right. Okay.
Wow.
Head out on the runabout. Okay, that was pretty clever. I'll give you that one. That was actually good.
That was okay. Anyway.
What was that rule of acquisition? I thought that was also a nice little touch there.
Yeah. Rule of acquisition 111. Treat people in your debt like family. Exploit them. And that was Worf that knew that one.
Yes.
Which was cool. And somebody also made the Trekkian name, the Trekkian nomenclature, which was Talavian freighter. Talavian.
Oh yeah, and Quark also bought some Saurian brandy.
Oh yeah, I didn't even put that down because that's like something that they talk about all the time. But you're right. Yeah, that's one right there.
Yeah.
And Kira ate something too. That was, and I forgot what it was.
It was another nomenclature, right? Trekkian nomenclature.
But what was it though?
I can't remember. I was like,
something she ate?
That's one.
Was
something
it the herbs?
The Makra herbs also tasted like, I can't remember.
Yeah, but I do remember the Saurian brandy. I wrote that one.
Yeah.
Good thinking. Good point. I glossed right over that. So
and of course we had the two NAMs we did mention earlier, but we talked about it in the first half, which was Keiko and Molly.
Nailed it.
So
those two.
And Shakar.
No, but that was the interesting thing. They said they were in Shakar.
No, but then when she was talking about when she was 13, Shakar told her that she was ready and gave her the phaser.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
He was ultimately the one who decided that she could go with them on the mission, on her first mission.
So here's what I was confused about. There's a person named Shakar, but there was also a place named Shakar because they said that they were in Shakar, right? I'm assuming
In
that
the
means it's a
Shakar.
place.
I thought it
They
was
meant
in the
Shakar's
Shakar.
car. So Shakar's. Shakar's car.
Look on Ryan's face.
No, I don't know.
Zulu.
I did hear Shakar named a few times,
In
but I
the
do remember
Shakar.
also. I also remember Shakar being the person that basically gave her the green light to be a resistance fighter and said, "You stop smiling because you look too old. You look too young when you smile."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is okay. This is freaking insane. Pardon my French. Shakar has 2 appearances on the show thus far, but 7 non-appearance mentions. And this is why everybody's so surprised that he was only in 3 episodes total, is because he's talked about, I mean, the ratio of appearances to non-appearance mentions is through the roof with this guy.
Yeah. He is if he could just work as much as they talk about.
I know.
They should get paid. He would have actually get paid.
Yeah.
Even just like $100 every time they mention him, and he's making a few bucks.
But I do want to say something really quick because I know we kind of spent the first segment bashing the episode and how we didn't think that a lot of things were believable. But I want to then now on the flip side say that there were certain monologues and certain scenes that I thought were well written and well acted. And so Kira, for example, had a very great scene in which she started to talk about her entrance into the resistance and all of that stuff about how, the look in her eyes and she was too young and how it felt to fire off and kill those people, the Cardassians and all this stuff. Like those were really in-depth, detailed stories, and she performed them as well as I think you can. So I don't want to take any credit away from how those scenes were written and how they were performed, because she had the tears. She was personable. The monologue was excellent. And there were moments there where I wrote down, wow, this is great acting. For example, when the one guy with the messed up face at the end, Solara, I think, is that his name?
Yeah, Slytherin or something like that.
Yeah, so when Solara was
Slytherin.
Slytherin.
Silly String.
Slytherin.
I think his name was Silly String.
Slytherin. Yes.
Okay, so when Slytherin was chilling like a villain, when Slytherin was there giving his stuff, and she said 15 million Bajorans died.
Oh, good.
And you want me to feel sorry for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a great line. I just liked the way she delivered it. I liked the whole back and forth between her. And she had a lot of toughness for a woman who strapped down to a seat about the kid.
Oh my gosh.
Operating. She's still talking a whole lot of mess. And I'm like, wow, this girl does not back down from her points of view. She's like, you got to kill me. But if you go kill me, can you sedate me first?
Yeah.
Because she knew the macro herbs wouldn't really sedate her. So that was very smart on her part.
Very smart.
I agree. I love the last scene. I thought it was so powerful. The dialogue was so great. I just don't like how they got there. And I don't believe that part of it. But Nana knocks it out of the park all the time. She's, I love her.
I thought she did a great job as well. And also the guy who played Slytherin was also really good. And the dialogue they gave him was like this kind of Shakespearean kind of really articulate language, this old world language, this way of talking, sound like a poetic,
like poetry,
it sounded poetry. So I liked all of that, and I don't want to take away from the fact that I thought those words and those scenes were well written. Whether it was just a premise that I didn't really agree with because she was pregnant, but outside of that, I liked the story. I liked what they were doing. I liked the dialogue, like you say.
You know, I really liked the actor, and it made me look him up. But we do like to see, because when there's like a character actor that pulls something off really well in Star Trek as an alien, you can almost always guess that they've used them more than once. Because if you do really good acting as an alien on Star Trek, they're going to be like, we can use this guy or gal again, and we are going to. So this guy, his name is Randy Oglesby, and I immediately recognized that from Enterprise. But what I didn't know is he was also in, I guess, a first or second season episode called Vortex. He played a character called Kel. That was just his first name. His last name was Lee. It's Kelly.
Acapelli?
All right, we'll take it. But he was also in Voyager. He played a character named Kier in Counterpoint. But I think most Star Trek fans will know him from Star Trek Enterprise. He did like a dozen or so, 13 episodes as Degra, the Xindi. He was pretty much like the main Xindi character in the big Xindi arc of the third season, right, Malissa?
Yeah.
Degra.
Yeah.
Degra.
Yeah. That moment when they focused in on his face, and I was like, oh, it's stunning. It's a stunning moment. So yeah, there's a lot of wonderful moments in this episode.
Yeah, she says, she gives her whole thing like, basically your presence there was grounds for you to receive whatever you got. You shouldn't have been there in the first place. The second thing she says in this episode I thought was great. She said sometimes innocence is an excuse for the guilty.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's a hell of a line right there. Shout out to the teleplay by Ronald Moore. I like the teleplay on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, I thought Sisko was really. Now I'm starting to get the kind of abrasiveness that you say Worf has been talked to throughout his career.
Oh yeah.
Because he got it in this episode.
He's still goes next series, and he's still getting it.
He got the full Sisko backhand. Like, shut your bitch ass up and go do what I said.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, it was so good. It was I know what the difficulties are. You have your orders, right? And the way Sisko said it was just like he cut him down to this small, and you just see Worf kind of turning around like, all right, I shouldn't open my mouth.
He's like, I spoke to Picard. I know that we can disrespect you. So,
I know how to talk to you.
Yeah.
Picard told me. And you can see that totally carrying on because Sisko like lays it down on him so hard. Yeah. Like, man, don't even talk, man. I'm trying to explain stuff to me. Are you explaining what the difficulties are? Sir, the problem
There's no time for this.
So I like that. I like that Sisko continuing the tradition of putting Worf in his place. I enjoyed it.
So we've got a few minutes left only already. So final thoughts on this. I kind of want to talk to the free for all a little bit more about this, because it seems like there's a lot more to this episode. But did you guys have any predictions? Because I kind of like, sometimes we remember episodes, sometimes we don't. But I remember when they were trying to figure out the voice, and I was like, I bet it's Kira's voice. There's like that moment where you kind of like guess. I don't know. Were there any moments where you guys were guessing ahead, or were you just along for the ride?
I didn't guess.
Oh, I was guessing when she's in her quarters and she flips the lights out and reaches in the drawer and pulls out a phaser. I'm thinking, okay, what's about to happen right now? I was kind of guessing, like, watch out behind the sofa. They're always behind the sofa.
They're always behind the sofa.
They're always behind you for some reason. No matter which way you're going, they're behind you. So like, look behind you. But there were moments like that where I was, saying, what the heck's going on, and kind of guessing. I didn't know exactly which way it was going to go. Like I said, I thought they were going to try to lure this killer onto the station and try to trap them. I didn't know that she would have to jump on a runabout and go somewhere else to get it and find them. It's basically tracking down this guy, which there's no reason for her to do by herself, especially because it's not like she got a ransom note and a phone call that said, hey, bring the money and make sure you're alone, and I don't want to see anybody else there. And if I do, then something's going to happen. Like, there was none of that. There was no danger for her to bring. She could have brought as many people as she wanted, right?
Yeah.
She could have brought Odo alongside her.
True. Why not? And Worf.
And I feel like there's
Worf and the Defiant and a whole bunch of back.
Yeah. And I feel like there's been enough trust built up over the past 5 years that she would have confided in more than just herself.
But you know what? Sisko would not have let her go, and Bashir would have not let her go as her.
And
for a good reason.
Wouldn't have let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for good reason.
But she could have sent Odo on. I mean, he loves to do that kind of stuff, especially for Kira, where she says, "Here's the list. Can you go track them all down?" And Odo would be like, and he would do it.
I mean, even just coordinating on the list. If he says, "Here, these are the 10 people that I think are guilty. What do you think? What are your feelings on it?" She could have easily narrowed it down to 2 or 3 people right in front of his face. Like, no, definitely not him. He's cool. This guy, no, he's dead already. This guy's in, she could have narrowed it down and said, no, it's more than likely this guy, the one she went after, right?
Right. Well,
and she didn't have to be the hero by actually putting yourself in physical harm's way. That's where I just had the most. Right. I just couldn't wrap my mind around it because I know a mother's instinct is to first protect a child, no matter what.
Exactly.
And so there's no way a mother puts themselves in a physically harmful way where the child is at jeopardy. There's just not going to happen.
Well, and knowing how many people are on the list, she doesn't know how long it's going to take her to find these people.
Yeah.
And she's only got, a couple weeks left before she gives birth? I mean... Yeah. What is she going to do
and
if she goes into labor?
Woman, what is she going to do fighting this guy? She's pregnant. She's like, well, what is she going to just karate kick him and stuff? It's like, she didn't really think that part out as much, in my opinion. Like, it's like, no, there's no way she gets away with that.
No, and there was no consequence at the end either for what she did. I mean,
that we don't know of. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what, she's going to be in the doghouse for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She should be in the doghouse for that.
She should be. And that was the most difficult thing to overcome mentally for me. The rest of the story, I totally bought it. I did like this. Like I said, I liked the scenes. There were scenes there that were very moving and personal.
Yeah.
And this is an insight to her. We've had a lot of moments where she kind of is put in a position to reevaluate the decisions she's made as a freedom fighter, as a resistance fighter. So she has. We've had several instances of reflectivity, right? The duet is one of them, right? I think duet was one of them.
I was gonna say I could see her doing this pre-duet, but post-duet, I don't buy it.
Right. When we're talking about her evolution, I was thinking that as well. The duet was that first step in the evolution. That was the first big step, rather than just like the regular curve of evolution. That was the first bump, where she really kind of opened her eyes to certain things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we better run over to the free-for-all. Before we go to that, we do want to give a very special thanks to Darlena Marie Blander, Carmen, aka Skillet, PJ Tomas, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Tim Baum, and Titus Mohler. That's it. Stick around for the free-for-all. Yeah, that's right. All right. We'll be right back on the seventh rule.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the free-for-all with the seventh rule, starring Malissa Longo.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Dr. Susan Gruner, Darlena Blander,
Hi.
Yeah.
Titus Mohler, Dr. Marie Segal, and of course our hosts, Cirroc, Lofton, and Ryan T. Husk.
Very nice. And welcome back, Mohamed Noor. Darlena and Titus also haven't been here too recently. Darlena, you were here a little recently, but Titus, we haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
So during the break, everybody at home, Darlena and Titus were clamoring about this episode being one of their favorites. So who wants to start and tell us why?
Okay, I'll start.
All right.
I love this episode because other than it shows the horrors of war and some of the effects of war, I love how it showed how people who were in resistance were trying to move on with their lives and everything, and then they had to be involved in this revenge plot by this just unhappy, pathetic Cardassian. But I love Kira's tenacity. I love how she stood up for her friends and she stood up for what she believed. And that speech that she gave, it's just the type of speech that just all of us jumps off the couch and says, yes, you tell him, Kira, tell him. You all were, susceptible targets because none of you should have been there. And that I just love that passion. She speaks for all oppressed people. And I have this thing with Kira and her speeches. It reminds me, in the Rambo movies, Rambo always has this speech at the end. Kira has these speeches. I'm going to put together a compilation of Kira's speeches. Okay? And I was just so inspired by her speech and everything that she gave him because, it brought up a whole fact about people who fight for freedom. Some will fight the military only, and then like Kira, she had this belief all of you were targets because none of you should have been there. So it's as a veteran, it was a real good discussion about when we're involved in protecting ourselves, our society, how far do we go? What is the limits? What things should we do? Should we not do? So it brought up that kind of military discussion. And so I just really appreciated the writers, how they touched on a lot of fine points and just the fine acting of the ensemble, and especially that back and forth antagonist, protagonist with Kira and her captain. So that's why I really like this episode.
Nice. What are your thoughts on this, Titus? You knew I was going to call on you. You just unmuted yourself right on cue.
Yeah, I guess to me, it was the story and kind of the style. I thought this was, I remember when I first saw it and in many of the rewatches, to me, it's a legitimately scary story. I was creeped out. That's one. Just that the recordings and then, of course, having to break it down and realize it's Kira's voice saying it. And then you're seeing her friends get picked off with, there was no real holding up the process of the assassinations. They were just all coming through right on schedule, and Kira was next there. And I really agree with what Darlena said. Given the scariness of what was happening all around her and what was apparently going to happen to her, it was really awesome to see her tenacity in the face of that she was not going to be cowed in that moment at the end by this guy who was even at the end trying to terrorize her. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it was legitimately creepy the way they executed the story and very suspenseful. And of course, yeah, I'm happy with how Kira came through in the end.
Nice.
Well said.
Dr. Susan Gruner, it seems like you have some agreements in that. What do you think?
There's so many things about this episode, starting with the title. The title perfectly described the episode, the darkness and the light. I love the way they used the darkness and the light. Fabulous. I loved it was dark. There's no doubt about it. It's a dark episode, kind of disturbing, but I thought it was fantastic. I hated seeing the characters getting killed off, but still, it made the story even better when she, goes down there and confronts that guy. Her speech was awesome. And I thought it was just fabulous. Just fabulous.
Nice.
Even though we lost two of my favorite, not often seen characters, I love those two.
Was and Frizzell.
Yeah, I love those. But I thought they didn't waste any time. There wasn't any wasted words or moments. Every single sentence, every single scene was so integral to the whole big picture of this story.
That reminds me, boy, Cirroc, when we start a little later, we're completely off our game. And when I say we, I mean me. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you what it was because we forgot to go over that. I don't know. I'm going to say about a 7.2.
Very good. Very good. Melissa, do you know what it is already?
I know what it is already.
Melissa Longo knows the IMDb score. It was a 7.0, Cirroc. Yeah.
I don't get these damn ratings.
I gave it a 10.
Anne-Marie gives all of them a 10.
No.
Yeah, I want to go and give this one a 10 too. I did that the other day for the last one we did. I'm giving them all 10s.
Hey,
Heck with them.
no, we highly recommend everybody that's listening in at home, when you rewatch this thing, go over and give it a fair assessment of what you think it should have as an IMDb score, because I know that a lot of these episodes, if I go by memory of what I remember the episode being 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I go, oh, this is a 6 or a 7 or an 8. But then upon rewatching it, I find all these extra little hidden gems or these great moments. And then you go, no, this is a 9 or this is an 8 or whatever it is. Or sorry, Anne-Marie, a 10 every time. And, so definitely go back and revisit, you guys, and give Deep Space Nine, the ratings that you think it deserves, 20 years later. A lot of these things age very well. Very well.
It's like a full-length movie, like condensed into one episode, and it does it so well.
Mohamed, do you have any thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody said. I was excited to see Lupus and Frizzell again. I was really sad when they got killed off too. But in terms of the plot, I mean, really, I think Darlena said it first. The comment about like the innocent victims of war. I mean, even though the guy was a villain, he still also was a victim too at the same time, and it was interesting seeing that aspect to it. So I thought it was extremely well done. It was really fun to rewatch it.
Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't help but think of the. I don't want to be like, what about the children? But I'm like, hey, leave the kids out of this, you guys. Grown-ups, you guys are all dicks to each other, but leave the kids out of this, man. Come on, give them a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was really moved by the story that Kira was telling about the woman who got killed in the transporter accident.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I liked her story about how she was really risking her life by doing whatever she could to help the resistance and give them information. And so she wasn't really part of it, but she was part of it. And I guess in that same way, and I didn't make this correlation, but in the same way that woman could easily have said the same thing that the main antagonist said in this episode, right? Which is like, I was just there. I wasn't really a soldier. I wasn't, somebody who should be a target. Well, this woman was just there. She wasn't really a soldier, but her information was helping the resistance. And so I guess everybody's involved. If you're there, you're involved in some type of way, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody with who's innocent of everything, 100% at least. So yeah, I did like the story that Kira told, because she really she kind of gave this story that reminded me of like the families that helped Anne Frank when she was hiding from the Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Like what did they risk in order to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. I felt like there were so many parallels to the Holocaust in this episode, and so beautifully done in so many of the scenes. Just you would hear it, you think you're hearing, stories of the Holocaust. It's like Audrey Hepburn did much of the same as Fala had done, passing messages to the other side against the Nazis. So, it's so many similar stories could, echo her story, which is amazing.
Yeah. Josephine Baker also passed information for the French resistance. And she got arrested a few times, even though she was a big famous singer and everything like that. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention one thing that I liked too. This is on a much lighter note. I liked Aaron's performance as Nog in it. I thought he was really funny.
He was so wonderful.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
So good.
So we were having a discussion earlier, guys, and I want you to all weigh in on this if possible. Some of us, we're not going to name names, but some of us were thinking that it didn't quite make sense that Kira would go half-cocked on a revenge mission while she's 8.5 months pregnant. And then we thought, well, maybe that's not 100% consistent with her character, but maybe it's more consistent with, say, like season 1 Kira, because she's had such an evolution so far as a character. So we want to know, what do you guys think? Do you think no Kira would do it, any Kira would do it, or only season 1 Kira would do it? If that makes sense. I think it does. We're going to start with Marie Segal because it makes sense to her.
I think all of this sort of triggered season 1 Kira to come back, and it's just like a lot going on at once, and that's why just like her defense mechanism is going back to seeing everything like in more black and white.
You look like you're in black and white right now.
Yeah, she looks like a painting
My
or something.
computer is like not recognizing color. It's really weird.
She's vintage.
Yeah, she's a
vintage Anne-Marie.
Yeah, it's a filter. It's a vintage
Like,
filter.
I don't understand what filter this is. Yes, it's so weird. I just messed with the settings and there was like nothing about it.
What do you think, Titus? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Anne-Marie said it well, because that's a good point. When you first brought it up, I thought, yeah, that's right. I mean, she cares about the O'Briens so much. Would she really do this? But yeah, I think it would probably be a thing where the emotions just overrode. I mean, I think I like how Anne-Marie put it. It just brought back season 1 Kira when she saw all of her friends getting mowed down, and so so yeah, I guess she probably, if there were any surface thoughts, it was like, well, yeah, I care about the O'Briens and this child, but I also care about my friends who I've known, for all my life and fought side by side with. So, yeah, I think that's probably the thing. It was just sort of seeing them actually, and like Susan said, the fact that they're dead, I mean, we miss them. We're sad to see them go, but it really strengthened the story because death changes everything. So if they had just maybe been injured or something like that, maybe it would have been harder to justify the big risk that she was taking. But given all the casualties, I think, yeah, it kind of brought back season 1 Kira.
Rambo
Plus she's
Kira.
pregnant with all those hormones
True.
raging. So she was, absolutely full of anger, probably brought back memories, and I can totally see her wanting to do what she did.
Darlena, what do you think?
Oh, I totally agree. To me, it was like, how we say in Army, you can take the girl out of the Army, but you can't take the Army out of the girl.
I heard it a little differently, but yeah.
Season 1 Kira definitely kicked in, and I agree. If they were just injured, she might not have gone so, rogue, but the death and then of her friends that she fought with, that she loved, and I think that just, set her off. And I can relate because I remember when I hurt my knee in service and it was all bandaged up and everything like that, and the doctor said, stay off it. And then there was some things going on at the armory, and it was just a lot going on, and I felt like useless. And I just, made myself get up and go to the armory and do work and help out. And my knee was just swelling up, and to the point I couldn't walk. And they were like, no, you got to sit down. That's an order, But, you feel helpless. And I think that's how she felt. She's a warrior. She's used to protecting, and now her friends are being picked off, and she probably felt helpless. But then at the same time, she knows she has this baby she has to safeguard. And I think maybe that kicked in when she was when she was captured. She probably said, okay, wait a minute. Ooh, I kind of went off on the deep end. I have this baby, I think maybe at that point she realized that, I really have put this baby in jeopardy. And that's why she pleaded for the captor not to, just cut her open and do any harm to the baby. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Homer, what do you think? Do you buy season 5, Kira?
Homer?
I'm sorry, Mohamed. Sorry. Oh, hi, Homer.
Similarly bald. It's okay.
Over here. They have the same hairstyle.
I was looking at you too,
Hairstyle.
Mohamed, and I didn't even know. I was like, why is he
to me.
so
I'm not
shocked
sure
that I'm
about for Homer.
calling on him? Oh, it's because I didn't say your name.
That's
Mohamed, what do you think? Do you buy season 5, Kira doing it?
So I agree with everything everybody said. Shoot, I had a comment about something Darlena just said, but I forget what it was. But I want to add one other thing to it too. It was framed as though it was purely vengeance, but it also could be that she wanted to protect the people who were left, right? And she felt like she could do this a lot faster. Like, maybe Shakar would be next, or somebody else who was associated with them. So, I mean, in that sense, I could see her, because she still has a little bit of I can do this better than other people, so let me just go do it. She has a little bit of that sentiment even now, even though she's not as rough as she was in the first couple of seasons. She still has a little bit of it, like, I could do this better. So I could see it. I could see it overall. There's something you said, Darlene. I'm trying to remember. There was a comment you made that was really insightful, and I wanted to add something to that. But
preventative, that it could have been that it wasn't just about revenge, but it was more about a preventative measure.
Exactly. Oh, I remember. And the comment you made about the protecting the baby too, that showed that she was still on protect mode too. That was the other aspect I wanted to echo what you said. That was a really great point.
All right. So since we have a few minutes left, guys, this is something fun I wanted to ask
Melissa.
Well, we already know what Melissa thinks. Melissa, unless you'd like to reiterate.
I mean, for the group, I don't think that she would revert back to season 1 Kira. I think there is a lot of time for her to reflect on what she was doing in the runabout, before the runabout, and she is she's there to protect somebody else's baby. I mean, that is the most important thing at the moment. She can't bring back the people who are already dead. And I think Kira has evolved beyond season 1 Kira. And because of her pregnancy, I think that makes it that much stronger. That all of the stuff that she's learned up to this point, I think because of the baby, also helps that those things that she's learned become much stronger. I think pre-duet Kira would have gone half cocked, but post-duet Kira, I question it. So yeah.
Fair point.
Cirroc, do you feel like putting out your 2 cents too?
Well, I just say that listening to your guys' comments, it kind of lets me reflect on a little bit differently.
Interesting.
So I do understand where you're coming from. I'm still leaning towards the fact that I do believe that somebody who's pregnant with somebody else's baby is going to be way more cautious than just fly out on that kind of a mission. I think she would recruit somebody to help her, somebody that she trusts, particularly Odo. But I do understand some of what you guys are saying about the heightened hormones, the heightened sense of having your friends dying around you and wanting to prevent it. So maybe there were some bad decisions made there. I just feel like she's grown a lot. So I can see it. I can see seeing it both ways. But I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking to myself towards the end, like, doesn't the technology exist to repair that guy's face so he doesn't have to walk around with that kind of a half up face?
Good point.
Definitely, yeah.
If I'm Kira, I would just say, look, I'll talk to Dr. Bashir. We'll fix that all up. You'll look like a handsome Cardassian or whatever.
Whatever that is.
And what the heck's he still doing on Bajor? Why would he
Cardassians just made Kira look like a Cardassian in second skin or whatever. So
he was in the demilitarized zone. He wasn't on Bajor.
Oh,
I thought he was on Bajor.
By the way, when they said the DMZ, I like to have the captions on at the bottom so that I can catch all the character names and the aliens and whatever. And they said DMX, so I thought that was funny.
Shut up.
I swear it said DMX instead of DMC. That's what it said. No,
The closed
Anne-Marie, my
captioning
jokes are
said
funnier than that. So, all right, great. Darlena is back just in time.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
Evil things happening.
We've got a fun question, a few minutes left. Now, when Kira was like 13 and she got brought into the Shakar thing, by the way, shit, do we even have time for this? This is important, though. Shakar is a character, but they also said they were in the Shakar. Yeah. Is that also
a province? Name it after himself?
Yeah. Or was he named after the
He
province?
was the head of the resistance cell. So it was called the Shakar Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like the Eisenhower platoon or something.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when she's 13 years old, Kira, and she's becomes a freedom fighter, and then she makes like these friends for life. And those two friends that are left, they come and they visit her. It's almost like it's almost like they're bringing the band back together. And of course, with them, when they come back to their old high school buddies or whatever it is, they go, all right, it's time to kick some ass, time to kill things and whatever. So my question is, if you were to be reunited right now with your old high school crew, what would you guys do to like relive your old high school fun? Your old Mohamed.
Well, I don't know that they were having reliving fun memories of like making sure they wouldn't be oppressed and killed.
So what's your answer?
But I get the question.
I think it's a different story. Yeah, they're not exactly.
But their life sucked. Like, it was terrible. But
they're escaping death right now.
Yeah.
And what they have in common is war. So it's like not the best.
That's all they had. Yeah. Well, Anne-Marie, what would you do?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I kind of feel weird about the question.
All right. Does anybody not feel weird about the question? How about you, Mohamed?
I was thinking, what are the things I'm willing to say on recording that would be on the internet?
You guys, all right, maybe we'll nix the question then.
Yeah,
this is something to do when we're not recording anymore.
I would have thought they spent more time trying to figure out who the killer was. I didn't see them really get together and say, okay, all right, they got this guy, they got him.
That's a really good point.
It's got to be like this guy, right? Like, they should have been trying to reverse engineer who they thought it was. Like, all right, who did we kill? Who would be left? You know, who has the technological advancement to be able to pull off some of this stuff? Yeah. I would just think that they would, like, this guy says he was a butler, but yet he knows how to like hack into the DS9 computer system and
that's
send,
true.
And turn candles into bombs, right?
Just a simple tailor.
He read about it on the internet.
But he's had how many years to obsess over this thing that they did to him? So I mean, if he probably stopped fixing clothes and said, "This, I'm going to take them out, and I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it any way I can." So he probably lived that every single minute of every single day.
Point.
How about this question? What are your favorite herbs to grow in your garden?
Not the macros.
I love that. I love that part.
What?
It's such a cute moment of this episode.
I just want to say I'm very impressed with Melissa's analysis, because she spotted a major issue she has with the episode, and yet you're still also defending other elements. So
I think
nice of you to be done with that.
No, I'm just being honest about how I feel about the episodes and the inconsistencies that make me believe it. But I think there's some really, really beautiful moments in this episode. Nana is a phenomenal actress, and she hits every scene out of the water. So I have no complaints about that. The scenes, the very last scene is wonderful. It's wonderfully acted between the Cardassian and Kira. It's so beautifully written. I'm not convinced of how we get there. I think it could have gotten there in a different way.
It'd be fascinating to ask Nana at some point what if she had any issues with the arc.
Publicly or privately, though?
Oh, true.
Well, I guess if she didn't want to go on the record, okay.
Yeah,
but,
who knows?
Yeah.
But she's usually pretty honest, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know this.
Really got those,
how long are they going to carry this baby thing going on? Because she's already given birth at this point. Is she going to actually have an episode where?
I think it's next week, right?
Yeah.
Is it coming out? Okay. Okay.
The Begotten?
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that episode.
That was
powerful.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I'm already ahead. I already know what's coming. I can see it.
We already know what's gonna happen.
No, she's going to have a baby.
She's already given birth. Yeah, she's about 3 weeks away.
Oh my God, so cute.
This baby's got to come out one point or another. She can't walk around with one of those pregnant outfits for the rest of the season. You know what I mean?
Pregnant outfit.
That's a military pregnant uniform that she has on. It's very beautiful. I like how
what the new Discovery uniforms look like to me. Like they all look like pregnant Kira.
To cosplay when you're pregnant, you can exactly. If you're pregnant and you want to cosplay a character, a character that that's pregnant and has an outfit that it's flattering, even though because she's pregnant. That's really great. It's like when Scarlet Witch was pregnant. My girlfriend cosplayed Scarlet Witch when she was pregnant.
I get away with a Kai Wynn costume and kind of hide it.
Or you could do the B'Elanna who was when she was pregnant in real life with the coat.
Right, right, coat. Or definitely Kai
didn't hide it. Oh, Kai Opaka, yeah.
All I know is if I'm O'Brien, this is a story that I'm going to let Kira tell.
Yeah,
when she gets home and says, "Why are our quarters blown up?"
Yeah.
Good call.
And why did you
Where's the
kidnap my
crib that I
kid?
got? Where are the baby blankets that my mom sent?
Good point. Where are my grandma's paintings?
Where's
my bonsai tree?
Where's my bonsai?
That's gone. That's true.
I guess it's grandfather. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain that. If I'm O'Brien, I'm like, talk to Kira. She'll explain everything. I'll be in the other room.
He's off the hook now for when that bonsai tree got messed up. It's like, oh,
right.
Bonsai tree.
Whatever. Done. Well, guys, we better run. But this was a good one. And it was very insightful, by the way, wasn't it? Really like that.
I love this episode. I think it's such a good counter to Duet. And it's sort of like how, because we always see about Bajorans, but we don't see like necessarily how Cardassians are affected by the resistance and like the aftermath of it on a like psychological level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is a question probably for Brian Fuller or Ron Moore, but I'm going to ask you guys, does anybody here know where the language for the main villain in this comes from? I felt like they borrowed language from Shakespeare or somewhere. Like it sounded like he was quoting something, or and I just wanted to know if anybody said, "Oh yeah, that's from this play or this or that," or if it's just original. I didn't know. It felt like it was that some of the language was being borrowed from famous texts somewhere in our past. You know what I mean?
Totally sounds like it could be, especially the like light and dark talk.
Yeah.
But man, talking about like cutting a child out of somebody, that is not something you typically hear on television.
Yeah, they did a great job with that tool too. They started up.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I could feel it. Oh man.
Everybody at home, if you know the answer to that question, let us know. Is that language? Is that poetic monologue or the bits and pieces of poetry? It almost seemed like poetry to me. But if it came from something, let us know in the live chat or in the comments below. And beyond that, it's time to go. So that's too many. I swear I'm not trying to rhyme there. That was weird. Okay. So special thanks to Darlena, Anne-Marie, Titus, Sue, Mohamed, Malissa, and Cirroc, Lofton, and I would like to also thank Aaron Eisenberg, the coolest guy in the whole world, for starring in this episode and just dominating the whole thing. And thank you all very much for joining us. And as always, remember the 7th rule.